Hello ladies and gentlemen, sunshines and chuffing sweethearts. So welcome to another chuffing installment. Big house chuffing quick shots. Now stick around in for a chuffing treat. Now I'm excited. Very excited this morning, ladies and gentlemen, for two reasons. Well, three reasons. But two of them are probably blatantly really obvious for the more observant of you. For the less observant of you, the ones who are either chuffing blind, or you haven't put your glasses on, or you haven't woke up yet, or whatever. For whatever reason you can't see, there's two reasons here. Firstly, chuffing new look. As you can see now, in chuffing Big Al's bloody bar, surrounded by all these enticing, delightful chuffing bottles of chuffing liquor. No expense spared. Cost me a fortune. I'm in direct contact with chuffing eBay over this. Because I've heard of it years that you can sometimes live like a chuffing kidney. But I was speaking to two or three different people and say kidneys are like yesterday's fish and chip wrappers. It's all chuffing gallbladders and chuffing pancreases now. So this might cost me a gallbladder or a chuffing pancreas, but it was something well worth it because it looks better. I'm not saying, to be honest, that every single episode I'm going to chuffing utilise it because it's a chuffing absolute pain and a chuffing backside to rig up. It's not really a bar, it's just a chuffing back job. And if I've been at work all day getting chuffing annoyed and chuffing wound up by all my chuffing psychopathic chuffing associates, last thing I'm going to want to do is put this chuffing shite up. So it's all dependent. Sometimes you'll get this. Sometimes you'll get the green background, sometimes you'll get that chuffy white background you're chuffy used to. But it's worth it for you chuffing subscribers. Secondly, ladies and gentlemen, we will be reviewing a beautiful, cheeky little chuffing whiskey in a bit. Produced by one of the chuffing giants. But thirdly, most exciting of all, probably, special chuffing guest. This ain't chuffing Gandalf, this ain't chuffing Saruman. This is chuffing Nosey the Knome, and he's a chuffing dear personal chuffing friend of mine. And we've formulated a kind of bit of a chuffing friendship. What he is primarily is he lives in his chuffing back garden. And he's basically his security. He keeps all plants in line, he keeps all chuffing fungi in line, all chuffing hedgehogs, cats and bloody dogs and all that kind of stuff. And also, people, if you think you're going to invade my chuffing property, don't be expecting some chuffing wimpy ass bloody Doberman pinching a chuffing sausage dog or a chuffing bull mastiff. Chuffing Nosey the noble chuffing so yeah, he's known in his fraternity as a chuffing their version of like bloody what's his bloody face now? Not Marvin Hagler, that Roberto Chuffing Duran. Is that Roberto Chuffing Duran? He's not from Panama. He's from chuffing Nebworth, but he's still chuffing dangerous. So, but he's well known amongst his fellow kind, the old chuffing gnomes, the elemental gnomes. He's also known as King of the Chuffing Slurpers. He likes his chuffing booze. So what I tend to do in payment, he has some of me chuffing whiskey, he has some of my beer, some of me, whatever I'm slurping, he gets a little chuffing dabble. And he's been looking after for me for the last chuffing week. You'll see it on the pictures at the start of the chuffing show. What we're going to be chuffing reviewing today, which is, without further chuffing to do, chuffing Jack Daniels, chuffing apple. Now this, wait a sec. Look at that. He's been at it. Look at that level. This was an open... Nosey. Excuse me. Hey, mucker. Have you been at my chuffing Jack Daniels apple? You are. Just a little bloody dabble. You've got it down below chuffing shoulders, mate. I know I sometimes let you chuffing have a little chuffing sample, but you've got to be careful. There's got to be enough left for me to chuffing review. I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Back at the camera, Nosey, back at the camera. There you go. You're all right, you're all right. You've done a good job, Brian Garland. So I'm not too chuffing P, but just bloody take it bloody careful, mate. This was meant to be a chuffing opening. A brand new bottle opening. It's been bloody got at by chuffing Nosey and chuffing Knome. Now, going into more serious kind of territory, it's one of their Jack Daniels 3 flavoured series. They also do the Fable Jack Daniels Honey, which you know from previous episodes, few episodes. I really find that one a delightful chuffing drink, and I'll constantly go back to that. And they also do like the Cinnamon Chuffing Fire, which is a spicier, hotter, cinnamon-laden chuffing tea. I don't think I've ever had that one. I've had variations, like supermarket rip-off variations of it, but I don't think I've ever had it. This one, I've had it once before, a long time ago. And as I mentioned in a previous episode, Guy at Work Artist suggested that if you have Jack Daniels chuffing number 7, it's a very good idea to mix it with fresh apple juice. So this is not exactly the same, because this is a liqueur and not fresh apple juice. But It does shows you that them flavour parameters, Jack Daniel's thinking that these flavour parameters work and marry together in a beautiful kind of harmonious chuffy way. So we're going to get, well, before we get a crack top, let's have a little look, see if I've got any more information. No more information really. It's just basically the famous, legendary flagship Jack Daniel's number 7 mixed with their own. I don't know if they produce the apple liqueur or if they source it from somebody that they've got a great deal of trust in. Now, Jack Daniel's comes under a lot of fire sometimes. I think he's a victim of his own chuffing success. But Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, all them characters, those legendary American characters make great whiskies. You believe chuffing me. Can you do better? Yeah, you can probably do better. It's all a matter of, it's so subjective. This whiskey game, it's like music, it's like food. Subjective. If you love it, you love it. If you hate it, you hate it. Doesn't matter how cheap or expensive it is. You know, if something's really expensive but it tastes chuffing shite, then you've just wasted a shitload of money for a bad experience. If something's cheap and it tastes beautiful, opposite rules are applicable. So, right. Oh, you can smell that bloody apple, that apple. It is 35%. So, obviously, it's been kind of weakened by the adoration of the liquor, the apple liquor, wherever it comes from. But it says on the bottle, a little bit of information on the bottle, if there is any. Notes of crisp apple. Jack Daniel's Tennessee apple brings together the bold character of Jack with the flavour of the apples. Together they deliver a crisp, fresh taste that's perfect to enjoy with friends. Every day we make it, we'll make it the best we can. Good for you. Good for you, Jack. Right. Left nipple. Chuffing, left nipple, that's the chuffing nostril. Ladies and gentlemen, I've not been drinking. All that today is a cup of lukewarm chuffing coffee. That's all I've had. I've had no booze, so I apologise. But day off work today, so I could do this chuffing review with chuffing nose and chuffing home, you know what I mean? Spent most of the morning tidying chuffing house up. Weren't too bad, but only meant to do it for 5 minutes. Hour and a half later, I was still chuffing tidying up. I got carried away. I take pride in my abode. Left nostril, right nostril, chin, left nipple, right nipple, belly bean. Hey, let's buddy get involved. Get that your chuffing beat round that as well, Nosey. They don't call him Nosey for a while. He's got very, very good nose. He's like that guy from White and Mackay, that bloody Patterson dude. He's had a good sniff of that, right? Dominant force behind the smell is that apple. But in fact, it reminds me of almost like my kind of childhood. We certainly like kind of apple, pear and apple kind of sweet. Some of the soft ones and some of the hard-boiled ones that you used to have. I got that kind of chuffing smell to them. Very, very pleasant. But you can smell the alcohol cutting through. But it's not fiery. It's nothing to put you off. It's a good smell. It's an enticing smell. It's suggesting that, hey, stop bloody sniffing and get bloody slurping. Get it around the old chuffing tonsils. Smell anything else? I can't smell any cinnamon because sometimes they tend to put cinnamon with apple, which annoys a lot of people. Doesn't annoy me, but they've already got their cinnamon liqueur, as I mentioned earlier, so they probably didn't think of putting it in this. They're keeping it a crisper, more refreshing, more natural kind of apple flavour on the scent to it. Let's see if it's reflected in the taste. Good health, everybody, good health. Now, that's interesting. For the first few seconds, I was mildly concerned. For the first 2 or 3 seconds, 3 or 4 seconds, it just tastes like what you're going to get is a refreshing apple drink. And you might say, well, what's the problem with that? The problem is I'm not spending 16 quid for a refreshing apple drink when I can buy myself a carton of chuffing fresh pressed apple juice for about chuffing 2 quid. But this is where things start to chuffing improve. You start to get that oak. And I think because the apple is so, I would say this is the sweetest one that they do out of their flavour range. This is sweeter than the honey. Slightly thinner mouthfeel, but I think it's better for it. I don't think this wants a massive syrupy mouthfeel. I think it carries better by being that ever so, let me check the tears. Yeah, barely non-existent. It's watery, but not at detriment. I think that's probably for the better. I think if it was thicker, it wouldn't taste as refreshing. This is a different vibe they're going for the honey. The honey, they're going for a very kind of warming, flavoursome kind of that full-on experience mouthfeel. This one, they're going for a refreshing alcoholic beverage. This, for me, is an afternoon drink. So, what I would say is, yes, it tastes like apple at first, but then it cuts through with that oak, and because it's so sweet, that oak really carries. And it's a nice oak flavour. And then just as it's dying towards the end, and you get that aftertaste, then in kicks that, you can taste that number 7. You can tell it's a Jack, which is what you want in it. If you're getting a Jack Daniels property, Jack Daniels product, you don't want it to taste like something else. You want it to taste like Jack Daniels. This is a good drink. I had one of these years ago and I never had it since. But I will be buying it again. I said, I'll have a little bloody sip of that. There you go, get it down. Don't get it on your bloody beer. Don't get it on your beer. Let him just savour it for a second, see what you think. You reckon? Oh, yeah. Okay, is that what you want me to tell him? Yeah? Short and concise, he says it's shuffling dog's bollocks. So you heard it from Nosey the Shuffling now, and he does some serious bloody slurping, I'll tell you that will bloody out. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, apple bloody flavoured bloody Jack Daniels, get it shuffling bought, get it bloody poured out. Like I say, perfect for an afternoon session. Get a barbecue, get some friends around, have a couple of beers first, and get a couple of these. But drink responsibly. Last little story, I'll tell him a little safer. You know, previously, I'd been on chuffing wagon and all that kind of stuff. Well, the day after I put that last video on, when I went back on chuffing booze, the day after I went to a bloody barbecue again, at bloody in-laws, chuffing in-laws, bloody burgers and sausages and all sorts of chuffing shit. Tasty food. And I had, but I think because I'm not drunk for so long, I got chuffing carried away. I like it chuffing saying it's embarrassing. Full bottle of chuffing Desperado all to myself. 2 vast quantities bloody glasses of chuffing red wine. I had another beer. I had a cocktail, some kind of cocktail that my beloved mother-in-law chuffing knocked up. That was chuffing pot. I don't know, I thought that just tasted nice. And then I also had a small glass of Bells, miniature bottle of Bells, miniature bottle of White Mackay, miniature bottle of chuffing Famous Grouse, and then I had a good glug of chuffing Ardmore, which I got off a chuffing mate. Mate gifted it to me because you don't really drink it. He knew I had a chuffing appreciator, you know what I mean? So I got that down there. And then another beer. Gets in taxi, and Charlotte says, I knew straight away. She says, you were holding onto them chuffing seats for chuffing grim, chuffing death. I thought I was going to chuffing vom. I thought I was going to chuffing exploding back in chuffing taxi, and chuffing sharp back at chuffing taxi drivers, chuffing crusty and chuffing puke. But I managed to hold on. Gets home. Chuffing slurring, chuffing staggering. I said something to Charlotte. I went to the chuffing bed. Got laid down. I thought, I felt like I was on the chuffing deck of the chuffing Mary Rose, but on a rough sea. I'm failing for chuffing words. A chuffing wind tossed, chuffing heavy laden, chuffing sea. Massive waves. Got up. Ended up doing the chuffing psychedelic yodel down chuffing big telephone, didn't I? Jesus Christ. So it just shows you, know what? Don't matter how old you get, how wise you think you are, how together your chuffing head is. You know how many times you've done it in the past. There's always chuffing scope and chance to be a chuffing numbnuts again, a chuffing hillbilly. So that's the last time I'm doing it. That is the last time I'm getting chuffing drunk to that bloody state of bloody proportions. Now, it's been a bloody pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to have this chuffing Jack Daniels bloody apple with you fine folks, be subscribers, anybody else who's chuffing tuned in, and this chuffing legend here. Nosey, the chuffing Knome. Couple load of that. Let's just move that. Look at that. Can we zoom in? Can't zoom in. I'm up bloody camera there. Look at him. Hey, see you later, sunshines and bloody sweethearts.